Hey there, listeners. I want to talk to you today, or into this episode actually, about being the observant leader. Are you a leader that notices things that are happening around you? For a lot of leaders, they don't. They don't actually see that things are happening, even though it may be in plain sight for them. And so today's episode, we want to talk about the fact about being that observant leader, understanding what's going on around you, and then what you might want to do with it. Let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Hey listeners, welcome to the Ask Dnnis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners or I share my thoughts, experiences and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey, it's great to be with you today in today's Ask Dnnis episode. And we're talking about the observant leader. And as in my opening, I talked about the fact that are you the noticer, the person that is observant, who notices things happening around you? You know what? This week in New Zealand and maybe in other countries as well, it's Men's Health Awareness Week. And it's about people being aware of what's going on around them in relation to their health. And for a lot of men, they're not very good at going to the doctor. But I think that's also available, or that kind of topic as well, is not just about men. It's about all of us as leaders in general. And the thing here that I notice is that, do you notice what's going on around you? Because you see, the thing is, there's a whole lot of things happening in your environment today, your environment as a leader. And so what do you notice? Do you just take things for granted and don't stop and critically think about things? Or are you a leader that sort of looks at things? Now, I'm not talking about a leader that's going to be really analytical and procrastinates and doesn't move forward. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a leader that is not on autopilot, a leader that is what I call the deliberate leader. They're noticing things, but they also are critically thinking about those things to decide what to do. You see, when I talk about little things, it could be around you and your leadership. What are you noticing about your leadership? What kind of feedback are you getting? What's working for you? What can you do to improve it? Now, a lot of that can come down to you actually taking time out to take stock or to think about things or to do a reflection on where you are with things. Do you notice the little things around in relation to your health as a leader, as an individual, as a person, as a leader? What are you doing to actually help yourself around your health? Things like, are you noticing that you are tired, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed? What are you noticing around that? Are you noticing around what you are eating, how you are sleeping? What are you doing around your exercise? What are you noticing about you and your health, which is very important? Even though it's Men's Health Week in this part of the world, and maybe in other countries too, as I said, I'm going to encourage you to take time out to go and get it checked out, whatever that might mean for you. I know for some people, they're actually a little bit reluctant to go to the doctors or go and get checked out. What? Don't leave it till it's too late. As you know, for some of you who listen to my podcast, I went through the actual medical event around my tumor on the left vocal cord, and I left it for a while thinking it'll be okay. But by going and getting it checked out, we could find out what it was, and then we could decide on what we needed to do to address things. So the other thing here for a lot of people is, if you're listening, is that for some of you, you have routines that you do on a daily basis. So you have the same thing for breakfast every day. Are you changing that up? Are you getting the right vitamins, the right nutrients, the right things that you might need to help you get through your day as a leader? So you face things on a daily basis. I face things as well. But if I don't have a decent breakfast and work through things like that, then I'm not really setting myself up for the day. So my question to you would be, in relation to your routines, in relation to what you're working with, are you noticing what's going on for you? One question I've got is, what are you paying attention to? And that's quite interesting because the thing is, what we start to focus on, what we start to pay attention on or to, is where we start to focus. And that's where it starts to get more traction. In relation to the areas that we talked about, what are you observing? Where is your attention going? Here's another good example. What are you listening to on a daily basis? Are you listening to the news? Are you listening to doom and gloom? Are you on social media where people aren't always that positive? Or are you surrounding yourself or getting yourself around positive things that are going to help you develop as a leader, grow as a leader, and be in the right mindset? Because you see, what you are, the observant leader is somebody who's going to actually understand what's going on around them, but deliberately will actually make sure they've got the right people around them. Because we talk about you having the right people around you, not only to support you and work for you and help your organization go forward, but also they help you with your mindset. You are the sum of the 5 or 7 people that you hang around with. If you don't like what in relation to you and your leadership, then you might want to look at getting a new group. When I say to people about getting into a group, you know what, if you're in the group and you're the smartest, then you might want to think about getting a different group. What do I mean by that? I think the thing here is that if you're getting into a group to help you grow, to stretch you, to take you to new levels, that's what's ideal for you. The other thing too is what's happening for you and your team, what's going on around you, what's happening for your clients, your stakeholders, what's happening in the market today. So are you deliberate in your way that you look at things? Are you that observant leader that's watching the markets, watching what the customers are wanting, listening to the customers, listening to your team, your stakeholders? Because an observant leader will understand and can read the room, read the market, listen, and have their ear to the ground. I think the big thing here for all of us is that there are things happening around us. So having our antennas up and understanding and learning, hearing what's going on, adjusting, adapting, and moving forward as a leader is key. What you are doing with your health, what you're doing with that's the physical side, emotionally, spiritually, all those different areas you need to think about it. Mentally, what are you doing and how are you as an observant leader working through things? I think it's the little things that count. It's the little things that you're doing to help you move forward and growing as a leader. Here's something else for you to think about. What tends to make you overwhelmed? I talked about being tired before, but are you coming home overwhelmed? Are you coming home and you're not very nice to live with? Or are you a leader or a person that's coming home and leaving work at work and having that transition to coming home and understanding that you now have a new role, husband, wife, partner, mum, dad, working as an uncle, auntie, whatever your role is after hours, outside of work, how are you actually working through that? What are you doing to set yourself up? How are you being that observant leader to set yourself in a space or in the area that you are going to succeed? You know what, listeners, there's a lot for you as leaders to think about. There's a lot for you to go through on a daily basis. There's so much change and there's so much that speed of change tends to be getting faster all the time. So my question to you here is to think about you as yourself as a leader, but being that observant leader, asking yourself questions all the time. What's going on? What's happening around me? Am I being that observant leader that's picking up on things? Once you know what's going on around you, once you acknowledge that, then you can work on it to either rectify it, move it forward, grow, develop yourself, take it to a new level. And that's the exciting part, is that you can take it to a new level. You can do something about it. You are that observant leader who knows what's going on and you know where you are wanting to go. Hey, every week I talk to you about the call to action. And so this week's call to action is to download the 10 ways to lead in today's world. And there is a link in the show notes. Check it out, review that document, and let me know what you're thinking of that document, how it's coming across for you. Hey, listeners, that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Till next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.